Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Fruitful Fridays. I am so happy to be here. I'm glad if you can join today or if you can listen to the replay. I've got an important subject I am talking about. We're going to be talking about guilt, and it can affect you in so many ways. It's not really something someone goes around talking about. However, it could be holding you back in ways that you might not even know. So to start out though, I want to start with talking about how, excuse me, you were fruitful this week. And that's so important, isn't it? Each and every week I like to do that because we don't really always take the time to do it. And when you are grateful for what you did and acknowledge it and show evidence for it, because sometimes we just do things and we don't even know half the stuff that we've done. And so it is important to acknowledge it. And when you know what you've done, you can not appreciate it. And the more you think about it, you get those good feelings when you have gratitude for feeling good about yourself. And guess what? You just keep getting more. And that's how you get more and more and more by being grateful and especially honoring what you have done. So go ahead and think about it, write it down. I'd love to see it in the comments, and just take a moment to really appreciate and pat yourself on the back. And you know what? I've done a lot of great things. I do write them down. I'm excited about a divorce group that I started here, and I'm excited about a lot of things that I have coming up and working on every single day. So with that, let's, before we get into the subject, I just want to say, for those who don't know me, I'm Karen Treaster, and my company is Never Settle Life Coaching. So I not only work with divorced women, I have a group, Get Whole and Thrive, but also I work with people, men and women, in transition. And I've worked with a lot of people, and I'll tell you, guilt comes up. It comes up in many, many ways. And it comes up with making decisions. It comes up with in leadership. It comes up just in relationships and friends and family. This underlying feeling, whether you know you have it or not. And that's the question, because is it something that could be blocking you? So it's just something to ponder. And a lot of times we know when we feel guilty. So anyway, that's what we're gonna be talking about. And so we'll just go ahead and get started, because guilt is a very complicated emotion. It's something I like to think of it as an instigator for a lot of other feelings that we have, or actions or emotions that come up, and sometimes we don't even know where they're coming from. For instance, if you could get angry or frustrated, and a lot of times it is the core of it is that guilt that you're sometimes feeling. Sometimes it's a really heavy feeling. Have you ever felt that? Like just it's just really hard to do things, and when you've got the weight of that kind of feeling inside you, it's gonna keep you from doing what you really want to do. And it can manifest in very physical ways, like headaches and stomach aches and sleep problems. I'm going to share how I overcame a sleep problem with you in a little bit. And stay tuned, because I've got a very compelling reason to address guilt, and that's going to be more towards the end. So don't go away. And And so let's so guilt is something that it can hinder you. However, it's also something that can be good, right? Guilt can be something that is keeps our integrity, let's say, keeps you honest because, oh my gosh, let's say you forgot a birthday present or an anniversary, or maybe you were supposed to call somebody and you're reminded of that. And that's, you know what, that's a normal thing. And you just kind of feel bad about that situation, but you get over that, right? And you do what you have to remedy it. And it's when it goes even deeper than that, because some people are, may even have that situation and you know this, they can take it and just their mind just runs with it and replays it and replays it and replays it in their head excessively, to a point where that guilt now can turn into shame. And we're not going to talk so much about that, but it can turn into not just, a healthy, okay, what I did was not right, because come on, let's face it, we all do things that aren't right, correct? We all do things that maybe we shouldn't have. And when it's taken to a point where, again, you're thinking about it and ruminating about it, and become shame, where you feel to your very core that you are a bad person. And we all know, and this is when it can really hinder you, and it can keep you from moving forward. And you start punishing yourself. I mean, you met people, I'm sure, who have self-sabotage, and that's a pretty heavy duty thing. And really, by acknowledging it and trying to get rid of it, this, it's a big deal. So and what it can do too, guilt is change your personality. If you feel bad, if you're feeling like that, and you're getting angry for kind of no reason, or it can affect your the way you just handle a situation, or your actions and things that you do, and your health, for sure, because it's going to increase stress if you're thinking about that and ruminating about it. We've talked a little bit before about how it sends those chemicals to your brain, which turn into stress. And the more you do it, the more that stress spreads in your brain, and it's going to affect your health. It could affect your you could get a disease from it. I mean, eventually down the line. So, let me ask you this. Do you know anybody who's never made a mistake before? Do you know anyone who's never made a decision that hurt somebody? It happens. And you know what? We're okay. We're okay just the way we are. We're not, it's about living today. It's about living in the moment. It's not about living yesterday, whatever happened yesterday. It's not about living tomorrow. It's living right now. And so, but I realize a lot of people, it's a difficult thing to get rid of this, these thoughts. And so that's what we're gonna talk about a little bit more about, how you might be able to do that in a minute. So you've identified it. I mean, that's the first thing, is just being aware about it. And I know a lot of people who are in a divorce situation. Hey, Sabir, how are you? Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining. And it's something that, again, sometimes it's really hard to identify it, but it's just going to it can affect your self-esteem, as you can very well see. It can affect, I know it did for me. When I got divorced, my self-esteem was really low. My self-confidence was really low. And we're guilty sometimes, and this goes for men and women. I know for a lot of women it's very common. Oh my gosh, I was guilty about everything. I was guilty that if I wasn't home with my kids, I was guilty if I made somebody feel bad, trying to be a people pleaser. And men can feel that way too. Absolutely. And because I've seen it. And you know what? I was always looking at other people's expectations of me, not my own. And that's the thing, is to trust, really have that faith and trust in you that you're doing the right thing, and that you're enough. And the real question is, because ask yourself, whatever you're feeling, whatever this guilt is it true? Is this really true? And how can you change? How can you change it so you can tolerate it and be at peace with it? Right? Wouldn't that be great? And that's what I'm going to be talking about in a minute, about kind of fading that feeling and just being okay with it. And just being and asking, is it really true? Because when it comes up in other situations, a lot of you know who Byron Katie is, and she always asks this question. She's a well-known author. She's written a lot of books. She's a speaker, and she does something called The Work. And she's got fabulous questions, and I use those in my practice as well with people, because is it really true the way you're feeling, and how would you feel without those previous experiences that have built up in you? And it might be one or two experiences that really trigger the way that you feel moving forward. And so it's looking at different perspectives. And this is what I would suggest and invite you to do, is look at the situation, look at the person that you might be upset with, and try to see another point of view, and just ask yourself, is it true what I'm really feeling? Is it true what they might have said? Maybe they were influenced in the past by things as well. And it's not always easy to do that. And I know that, let me give an example, how guilt really affected me. And because you can go ahead and use that method, sometimes you need to get into the subconscious, because sometimes it goes a little bit deeper. And that's where the NLP that I do, the neuro-linguistic programming, I can talk to your, do a little bit more of a meditative hypnotic state. And I'll give an example. When I went to a Tony Robbins, a lot of you know Tony Robbins, and it's not all about the rah-rah and the high energy. I mean, I think he's great, but he did take us through one of those more hypnotic states, and looking at our past. And I had something that, and you might be able to relate to this, that at night when I went to sleep, I always thought about. I mean, and it was bad. But you know what? We're human, right? We're human, for crying out loud. I mean, we all do things. We've all done things that we know we probably shouldn't have done. And I just let it. And what happens is, if I didn't do something well that day, I would blame myself, right? We blame ourselves. And then all of a sudden, these thoughts that we did a long time ago, they just pop into our head. Oh, you did this and you did that, and you did this, and remember when you were really bad? and it's evidence like, wow, I really am bad. And that's what happens to us. And that's what keeps happening at night. They just keep coming and coming and coming. And well, long story short, with the Tony Robbins, he went into that. And that's what I do with my clients and look at it. And although maybe you can't really get rid of it, you fade it. And I can honestly say I have never thought of that thought again. I never think of that. If I ever did, I am able to just, because of my positivity connections that I have in my brain, those neural paths that I've talked about that have really strengthened, I'm able to just get over it in an instant. And so that's what the NLP, and that's, one of the things that, if you can get those to really, really fade, it's so great. And here's the other piece about that evidence, because guess what? Whatever you're thinking, as I've talked about before, is your reality. So if you're thinking that, yes, that's your reality. But if you're thinking, I am worthy, I am amazing, I am able to do, I am in control, I am able to do what I want, and think about and how am I going to succeed today? Your mind will come up with ways for you to do that as well. So whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't make any difference. So if you can fade those other thoughts and just stay in today and think about what is positive. But I really can empathize with people at night that think about things and keep them up at night. And I hate to see people suffer like that. It's just not worth it, because that's not you. That's you're holding on to that identity, and it just kind of flows into your life in so many different ways. Now, in a minute, I'm going to come up with that compelling reason that I was talking about, and actually, I'm going to go into that right now. Now, let's think about for a second. Excuse me. Let's think about right now. How long, what's that costing you? Like, how long were you thinking about things when you go to sleep? Or do you think about things during the day that are bothering you, that maybe put you in a place where you're not feeling good about yourself? And then you could be in an office situation and something doesn't go right, and then you just keep thinking about getting more worried and more worried and more worried. Let me ask you, okay, because a lot of people, would you say that you did this for 30 minutes? And I know for a fact, people who are self-sabotaging, they can do it for hours, like 5 hours a day. And I know that's true. Let's just say you think about something, feeling guilty or whatever it is, for 30 minutes. Now, if you did that every single day, in a week, that's 3.5 hours out of your week that you are thinking about this. And if you did that for a month, it's 14 hours. 14 hours you're thinking about guilt or worried or whatever you're thinking. In a year, that's going to be 182 hours. Now, let's just take an hour, because that might even be more realistic for people. And that would be, if you thought about something for an hour, like worried or, whatever, guilty of something, at night thinking about things, that's 7 hours in your week. That's 28 hours. You've lost, 7 hours, in a week. 28 hours you've lost in a month. Like, what could you do with an extra 28 hours, right? What could you do with an extra 28 hours a month? Oh my gosh, it's 336 hours in a year. And if you do that for 10 years, it's 3,360 hours. Think about that. And I'm just inviting you to visit that because honestly, you don't know sometimes if that's what it is. And some people, you know what, some people are perfectly fine, and they are able to get over guilt. They have gotten rid of a lot of the past stuff, and that's fantastic. But there's a lot of people out there who have not. And so you can try the Byron Katie method, asking yourself some questions, looking at another point of view. If you would like more information about me, I'm actually giving a 45-minute free discovery discovery session with people for free, just to give you insights, to give you, maybe tips about what you can do. If you want to work further with me, that's fine. That would be great. Otherwise, you'll get some really good information. But check out my website. Hey, Kim, how are you? And check out my website. You'll see more stuff on there. And again, I really hate to see people suffer. And, if you've got any questions, let me know. But I hope you really think about this, and really, I wish we all could have a guilt-free life. And I can honestly say, I don't let things bother me. I really, really don't. And I mean, I'm human, so obviously some things, of course, that's just natural. But in the long run, I'm living for today. Again, I'm not living yesterday. I'm not living tomorrow. Do all you can today. And I hope you all, thank you for joining. And I look forward to next Friday with more tips and inspiration. And I hope you all have a guilt-free day. I hope it's a fabulous Friday, fabulous weekend, and a very fruitful week coming up. Thank you so much for joining. And remember, never settle and live a life you love. Bye-bye for now, everybody.